Okay, so I have quite a few years of teaching experience. I taught here in Canada at the middle school and high school levels. I have experience teaching ESL as well as English writing and literature. I have a master's degree in English literature. I also taught overseas for 4 years, so I worked in Korea. And yeah, I worked in the public school system over there, and I taught English in the context of the Korean public school curriculum. Nowadays, I work. I sort of have a few different things that I do. So I teach. I work with the Academy of Math and English. I teach part-time. I also work as a writer. So I write marketing and blog content for the web. I've got a few different companies that I do that for. So writing is something, it's not something that I only know from teaching. I also do it professionally. So I understand the difficulties that students face when learning how to write, because I face them all the time in my work. It's not unusual for me to get writer's block and experience the trouble that many people face when they're trying to think of something to write and finding the right words. So I understand all that, and I see writing as a life skill. So when I teach you guys, I'm teaching you guys a skill that you're going to be able to carry with you into your life moving forward. And it applies in so many areas, right? Like as human beings, communication is one of the key things that defines us as humans, right? So knowing how to find the right words and express them properly, whether spoken or in writing, is an essential life skill that you're going to use on the day-to-day now and in the future, right? So I really want to pass something on to you guys that you're going to be able to use in your life, not just for academic purposes, right? So having said all of that, I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of who I am and my background. I live in Toronto, Canada. We might have a few different nationalities present here. I know that in the last class we had some people from Canada and some people from China as well. So I live in Toronto, Canada. I was born here. I've lived here my whole life. I've lived overseas as well for periods of my life. So as I mentioned, I lived in Korea for 4 years. I lived in India for a year. I taught English in Taiwan a couple of years ago. So I've been around a few different cultures along my teaching adventure. All right, that's me in a nutshell. And if you guys do decide to take the class, I'll look forward to getting to know each of you as well. So I'm going to now share my screen and just kind of go over the course outline for a minute here. Okay, so this is the 9-week writing course. So I'm going to take you through week by week and tell you what the lesson topics are going to be. Okay. This schedule will be subject to change depending on how quickly we move through the material, and I'm open to hearing what you guys are interested in learning too. So if you tell me that you guys really want to focus on a certain topic, like maybe blog writing or poetry or whatever grabs your interest, we can shuffle things around. This is just a working schedule. So all right, so week 1, we're going to be talking about essay writing and how to write an introduction for your essay. So that's going to include writing your hook, which is your opening sentence. It's kind of the sentence that you write to grab your reader's attention and make them want to keep reading. And also how to structure your thesis, your main argument, and your mapping statement, which is like the list of the three arguments that you're going to use to prove your point, the point of your thesis. If this is new language for any of you, don't sweat it. It'll all be explained later on. Okay, so after you write your introduction, you write your body paragraphs. And we're going to focus on a 5-paragraph essay. So that means you have an introduction and you have 3 body paragraphs. All right. I think I skipped a number here. Sorry. This should actually be week 3, but we'll just continue on down the line. Sorry, guys. So after we do the conclusion or the body paragraphs, I'm going to teach you how to write your conclusion, and that is everything you need for a 5-paragraph essay: introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. Okay, moving along from there. We'll probably review the concepts of essay writing. We'll just take another class to do that, just to sort of solidify the material and make sure you guys understand it. If you're learning it for the first time, it's a good idea to review because it's a pretty detailed topic. Okay, after that, we may do a class on journal writing. Okay, so that's a more personal form of writing where you can just write whatever's in your head. You know, a journal is a great tool for you to just get your thoughts on paper and write something personal, sort out your emotions. You know, journal writing is a very personal thing. But again, it's another tool that you can use in your life that can help you in different ways. So I see that someone new is just coming in here. Okay. Moving along, oh, my screen seems to be frozen here. I don't know why. Okay. Okay, so after that, we might look at some literary techniques, and we might look at the show, don't tell approach to writing. So this involves using imagery to explain how a character is feeling. So instead of saying John was really angry, you show it in an image. John made a fist and curled his brow. Not the most exciting example, but that's what I mean by show, don't tell. Instead of just explaining that someone's character X is feeling like this, you show through an action how that person is feeling. And that's what makes writing fiction more exciting, when you can picture in your reader's mind so they can see what's happening rather than have you as a writer explain it to them. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's something that all writers of fiction practice, and go into that in more detail as well. Okay, and then so having digested that as a writing technique for fiction, we'll get into some short story writing, and writing short stories is quite a broad topic, guys. So like, you know, you need to know how to create characters, you need to know how to structure a plot, you need to understand how to write dialogue. There's a lot involved with story writing. So we'll probably dedicate at least 2 classes to that as well. Okay. And I know we skipped ahead by 1 number, so I should have another slide here, but I don't, because I accidentally missed one. But we'll find something else to do. We can focus on writing poetry for a class. You know, like I said, there's blog writing and writing for the internet, email writing. And there's all kinds of interesting stuff that we can explore together. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for the moment. And wow, I just see all these black screens, except for you, Gavin. Thanks for showing your face. Appreciate it. Okay, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you a sample of the first lesson. So you can see the kinds of stuff that we're going to be looking at. So I mentioned that we're going to be looking at essay writing. So let's go into the lesson on how to write your introductory paragraph for your essay, okay? I'm going to want some participation from you guys during this. I can't just talk into empty space. So can you guys switch your cameras on, please? Thanks, Andrew. Thank you, Lily. Elena, Nicole, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'm gonna call on people who have their cameras on to participate. So if the rest of you just want to be spectators, that's fine. I have no problem with that. You can just watch and get a feel for the lesson. Those of you that have your cameras on, be prepared to say stuff, okay? In fact, why don't you guys unmute right now? So Lily, Andrew, Elena, Nicole, Gavin. Gavin, you want to switch your mic on? Nicole, Andrew? No? Okay, all right. I'll just call on you when I want you to say something. So I'm going to share the screen again. We'll exit this PowerPoint here. And I'm going to move over to this lesson PDF. So this lesson is about how to write an introductory paragraph. And here the lesson objective is written, which is the learning targets of the lesson. So what you're going to come away with. Can I get somebody to read the lesson objective out loud? Let's see. Lily, are you there? Would you mind reading this for me?
Okay.
Thank you.
In this lesson, you will practice writing an introductory paragraph. This is your chance to hook your reader. An introduction can make or break an essay or paper. You may write it first, but you should rewrite it again when you have finished the paper. Let's start by thinking about first impressions.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so an introduction can make or break your essay, because this is the part of the essay where you have an opportunity to capture your reader's interest. And if your introduction is really boring, they're just not going to want to continue reading, right? So we have to make a good first impression on our reader. Okay, there's this warm-up activity here. It says, what example of a first, okay, it's a writing activity. We're going to skip this just because of the nature of this class. Does anyone know, have you learned in school about how you can make a good first impression on your readers, like right from your opening sentence?
How am I gonna do my science?
Okay. We're going to talk about that.
Tomorrow.
First, we've got some definitions to go over relating to the writing process here. So, guys, can all of you unmute? Elena, Gavin, you guys put yourself in the hot seat here by turning your cameras on. So, can I get you guys to unmute? Lily, I see that you're unmuted. Okay, so let's see if we can find the correct definitions. The definitions are on the right and the terms are on the left. So first impression, can anybody find the correct answer on the right there? If you know it, just shout it out. You don't have to raise your hand.
D? Is it D?
Information or content that grabs the reader's attention. That could be the right answer. I mean, that would fit in the context of writing. I think in this case, the answer is actually J. So a first impression is the very first opinion a person makes after encountering something or someone new. Okay. Let's move on. Rhetorical question. I don't know if any of you have heard this expression before, but a rhetorical question is kind of like a question without an answer. So, see if you can find it. Sorry?
F.
Okay, cool. Can you read the definition for me, please? Just read it out loud.
A question that is asked so that people can think deeply about something. The asker is not expecting a response.
Super, thank you. So yeah, it's a question designed to make someone think. So, for example, don't you like money? Don't you want to earn some money? Like, the answer is obvious, everyone likes money, but you're asking the question to maybe make someone think about looking for a job or working harder, something like that. That is a rhetorical question. So number 3, hook. See if you can find the answer for that one.
I think that's D.
That seems right. Yeah, D, information or content that grabs a person's attention. You want to hook them right from the beginning. Great, thank you. Number 4, myth.
H.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Can you read it out, please?
A long-held belief that is not actually true.
Okay, that's great, thank you. So something that people believe for a long time that is now understood to be untrue. Number 5, anecdotes. Maybe this is new for you guys. You've never heard this before, or maybe you have. Take a guess. You don't know.
Is it B?
Nope. Nope. Take another guess. Alrighty. An anecdote is a short, interesting story. When you tell someone what happened to you last summer, that's an anecdote. Okay. Number 6, a thesis statement. Have you guys learned about this in school? What a thesis statement is? Okay, so your thesis statement is the main argument for the purpose for writing. And you know, thesis statements can be really simple. Like if you're writing an essay about smoking, your thesis statement can be smoking is harmful to your health. Very simple. And then the rest of your essay is talking about why, right? It damages your lungs. You can write a whole paragraph about lung cancer, right? So, you know, there are simple thesis statements and more complex ones, but for the sake of learning, we're going to stick to the simpler ones. So number 7, relevant. Which one is that? So relevant is something that's related to something else or an important part of something else, or, you know, like essential to something.
G.
Important or necessary. Good. Exactly. So navigation is relevant to sailing, for example. Number 8, mapping statement. So your mapping statement is kind of like a map of your essay where you explain what you're going to be arguing.
B.
A sentence or two explaining how the writing will be presented. Yes. Fantastic. Good. Number 9, skim. Skimming and scanning.
I.
Nope. It has to do with how you read.
A.
Yeah, can one of you guys read it out, please?
To speed read in order to understand the main subject matter.
Yeah, so when you skim, you don't read all the words. You kind of, you cast your eyes over the paragraph and only look for the most important words to sort of pull out the main idea. It's less detailed reading, but it's faster. So last one, guys, number 10, critique. What is, if I critique your essay, sorry?
I.
Good. Can you read it out, please?
To provide feedback about a piece of work.
Excellent. Okay. Good job on those definitions, guys. So I'm going to clear that off, and then we're going to see how all of these terms fit into the topic here. So let's look at some activities that we can do together. So it says here, to complete the tasks in this lesson, you'll need to be able to do a little research using the internet or the library. So maybe in this case, we'll just rely on the internet, right? I think that's the more convenient option. Okay, and there's this box here on the right that says, did you know? Nicole, can you read that for me, please?
Sometimes when people ask questions, they aren't really looking for a specific answer. Instead, they are trying to make a point. This is called a rhetorical question. Many writers start to introduce the paragraphs with rhetorical questions.
Good.
For example, is there anything more refreshing than ice cream? The word rhetorical rhythms with historical.
Okay, so rhetorical rhymes with historical, almost. Rhetorical. Okay, thanks, Nicole. Who else has their camera on? Gavin, can you read this paragraph for me, please? Just unmute. Oops.
Gavin, as Gavin said, his microphone doesn't work or something.
Oh, I see. Okay. How about you, Alan? Can you flip your mic on and?
You know what? Even Thess, if you don't mind, some students they also can participate even without camera. Because I know a couple of them, like Michelle, Cheng, their camera also not working, but their microphone works.
Participate?
Yeah, they can talk. Yeah, like
Okay,
Cheng.
so,
Cheng, you can, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cheng, you can. Yeah, Cheng, go ahead, Cheng.
okay. All right. Go ahead.
So where?
Do you see I have it highlighted here?
The first thing to do when writing an introductory paragraph is to get your reader interested in your general topic. A good introductory statement includes a hook or an attention grabber. Here are 4 types of attention grabbers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Chung. Okay, so there's 4 different types of hooks, and we're going to look at all of them in this lesson. So the first type of hook is a question, right? And there's different types of questions that you could ask. So it says here, an introduction can start with a rhetorical question or a puzzling question. It can also start with a question that you plan on answering in detail. All right, so we talked about the definition of rhetorical questions. What is a puzzling question? What do you think that means? If you know the answer, just go ahead and unmute. A puzzling question.
Like maybe like a confusing question that you could think about.
Exactly. Yeah, awesome. So a puzzling question is like a brain teaser, right? Something that makes you think hard. Let's create some examples together here, guys. So imagine you are going to write an essay on junk food. Think of 3 possible questions for an introduction. So what would be a rhetorical question for an essay on junk food? Why don't you, I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to think about this, okay? And when you have your answer, go ahead and type it in the chat. We'll see what you guys come up with. Remember, there's no wrong answers here. So rhetorical questions about junk food. Remember, rhetorical questions are questions that don't require answers. The answer should be obvious, right? So the purpose of the question is to make the reader think about the topic. Is junk food good for your body? From Lily.
I accidentally sent it a bit too early.
Okay, well you can revise it if you want and resubmit it. That is definitely an example of a rhetorical question. Okay. 20 more seconds. So if there's anyone else dying to put their answer in, you're on the clock. Okay. Well, yeah, so this example that Lily gave definitely fits the definition of a rhetorical question. Do you think junk food is healthy? Well, good. Everybody knows that the answer is no. Junk food is bad for your body. But maybe this is an essay about how being too strict with your diet is also unhealthy. It's psychologically unhealthy, right? If you punish yourself every time you eat a chocolate bar, that becomes unhealthy, right? So maybe this essay is talking about, well, yeah, junk food is unhealthy, but on the other hand, you know, being overly disciplined is also unhealthy. So great job, Elena, right? Oh, and Lily came up with something similar, right? So Elena and Lily, thank you for those. How about a puzzling question? So what's a puzzling question that we could ask? I'll give you an example here, okay? how much sugar do you think the average Canadian will eat in a day? Yeah, it's a puzzling question because it sort of makes you scratch your head and go, I'm not exactly sure, but it would be interesting to find out, right? So we've got rhetorical questions, we've got puzzling questions. What's another type of question we could ask? Maybe a question directed right towards the reader, so like a personal question. Have you ever craved chocolate have you ever craved chocolate so badly that you, we'll say this is an informal essay, so I'm going to use contraction here. Have you ever craved chocolate so badly that you'd do anything to get some? Maybe that's a rhetorical question. Maybe not. You know, most people like chocolate, but maybe some people don't. But it's sort of a personal question that makes the reader reflect on their own experience, right? Okay, 11:43. So guys, this is the first type of hook, asking questions, asking thought-provoking questions to open up your essay. Let's look at the next one. So the next one is sharing a quotation. Can I have a reader please unmute and just read these sentences for me? Who is happy to volunteer? Or do I need to?
I'll do it.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Literary or historic essays often start with quotes from authors or world leaders. Make sure to double check the quote for accuracy. Check a few different sources. Find an interesting quote to use at the beginning of an essay about one or all of the following topics.
Fantastic, thank you. So we're not gonna do all of these right now for the sake of time, but I'm just going to impress upon you that you can use an interesting quotation to start your essay. So if you're writing an essay about like racial equality, for example, you can quote Martin Luther King, right? The great social activist Martin Luther King once said that, sorry, I'm just letting someone in here, once said that, you know, people should be judged by the content of their characters and not the color of their skin. I don't know if I got that exactly right, but that's an example of a famous quote that you could use to open up an essay on equality, right? Doesn't have to be a famous quote. It could be any old quote. It could be a quote from your grandfather, as long as it's interesting. My grandfather once told me, blah, 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 blah. As long as it's interesting and, you know, gets the reader thinking about the topic. So different kinds of hooks, right? Questions, quotes. Let's look at the next one. Types of introductory statements continue. An interesting fact or myth. Okay, so it says here, you can hook your reader by introducing a fun fact or busting a common myth related to your topic. An introductory statement can be more than one sentence, but be sure to keep it short and sweet. So let's look at, they've given us a few sentence starters here, just explaining how you can structure this type of hook. So let's take a look at them. Did you know that in India, more than 8 different languages are spoken? Interesting fact if someone didn't know that, right? In most countries, there's one language or maybe 2, but yeah, in India, depending on where you travel, they all speak different languages, different dialects. It's part of what makes traveling in India very interesting, right? So that is not a myth, that's a fact. Let's look at structuring your hook using a myth. Okay, so you've probably heard that, trying to think of an example here. You've probably heard that you've probably heard that Korea is the top country for students who study abroad. That was the case when I lived in Korea about 7 years ago. Korea had, as a percentage of the population, Korea had more students traveling to other countries to go to school than any other country at that time. I don't know if it's still true. Let's assume that it's not, just for the sake of this example. You've probably heard that Korea is the top country for students who study abroad. This is a myth. In reality, yeah, China has more students studying abroad per capita than any other country. Okay, what do I mean by per capita? Has anybody heard this expression before? If you know the answer, you can unmute and yell it out. And if you don't know the answer, that's okay too. Per capita means as a percentage of the population, right? So South Korea has like 50 million people living there. China has over 1 billion people living there, right? So obviously, like, if South Korea has, like, 8% of South Korean students study abroad and 3% of Chinese students study abroad, the number in China is still going to be more students overall, but per capita just means as a percentage of the population, right? So like 8% of Korean students study abroad, but 11% of Chinese students study abroad. So it's a higher number per capita as a percentage. Yeah, so China has more students studying abroad per capita than any other country. Okay, so the next one is quite similar. You might think that blah, 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 blah. This is a myth. The truth is that blah, blah, blah. So this is it's almost identical in structure. So I'm going to move on to the next sentence so we can wrap up this portion of the lesson. Does anyone have any questions at the moment? Any burning questions that people are just dying to ask me? I can hear a pin drop. All right. The last type of introductory statement is the anecdote, guys. And what did we say an anecdote is from the definitions? Who can remember?
It's like a short story.
Yeah. Is that you, Nicole? Or that was you, Lily, right?
Yeah.
So Lily, since you unmuted, can you read this short paragraph for me, please?
People love reading or listening to true stories. An anecdote?
Anecdote.
Oh, anecdote is a very short true story used to set the scene before a speech, paper, or blog post. It can be used to get a listener or reader interested in the topic so that they want to continue.
Awesome. Can you read the note as well, please?
All right. Be careful how you write an anecdote. Your introduction can't be in the first person if the rest of your story is in third person. An anecdote should only be a few sentences long. Don't let it take over your introduction.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so an anecdote is a short story. Important to keep that in mind. You don't want to go on for too long because then it gets kind of boring and you'll have the opposite effect that you're trying to achieve on the reader. So 2 to 3 sentences is probably good length. It says here, you should not use the first person, right? What's the first person? What does that mean?
When you write in like I, me.
Yeah, you shouldn't refer to yourself as I when you write your introduction. Now, that is not an absolute rule. That rule can be broken. I don't want you to ever think that there are absolute rules of writing that can't be broken, because the reality is in real life, writers break these rules all the time, right? So if you're writing a personal essay about your own experience, of course you're going to use the first person, right? It just depends on the topic, really. So let's look at how we can construct an example here. So it says here for task 4, imagine that you are writing an essay with the title, The Importance of Hard Work. Write an anecdote about someone who had a tough job to do. I'm going to go with the first person approach here, as a matter of fact. And just to show you how easily these rules can be broken. A few years ago, I was working for my uncle's logging outfit in Western Canada. Okay. What's a logging outfit? An outfit is like a company or an organization, and logging is cutting down trees to make wood, to sell wood, to make furniture and other things, right? So I was working for my uncle's logging outfit in Western Canada. Logging is a seasonal job. Usually, sorry, I don't know. Sorry about that. Usually done in spring, summer, and fall. not in winter. This means that loggers have to work extra hard to earn their money for the year. I have never seen anyone work harder in my life than these loggers did, right? So interesting story, right? Like talking about traveling and working in different parts of the country, explaining about an industry that people may not be familiar with. And this is an essay on hard work, right? Maybe it's an essay about how necessity creates hard workers. So when you don't have a choice, you rise to the occasion by working as hard as you need to get the job done, right? So yeah, just opening it up with a short story that kind of gets people on board with your topic. So it's 11:57. Let's just review the 4 types of hooks really quickly here. So there's, what's the first? I'll turn it over to you guys. If you know what they are, unmute and tell me. What's the first one?
Rhetorical question.
Yeah, asking a question in general, right? So rhetorical questions, puzzling questions, and reader-directed questions about the reader's experience, right? What was the second one?
Quote.
So we talked about asking questions, remember? And then we talked about sharing interesting quotes related to your topic, right? And then what was the third one? Remember the one where we were like, you might think that, but actually.
With like myths and stuff?
Yeah, facts and myths. So busting a myth by saying like, you might think that, but in reality, right? So busting the myth by sharing what the fact is. Or just starting with an interesting fact without the myth aspect. So those are both options. So asking questions, sharing interesting quotations, discussing facts and myths, and then the last one, sharing an interesting anecdote. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing now. All right. I hope you found that interesting, guys, and gives you an idea of what some of these lessons are going to be like. Again, we're going to be tackling different topics here. So not every lesson is going to be on, you know, essay writing and structuring paragraphs and things like that. We're going to also look at some more creative topics like fiction and poetry and different kinds of writing techniques you can use to express your creative ideas. Michael, did you want to say anything or?
Yeah, very good, Seth. So we finished today's lesson.
Yeah, we're at the hour, so
Okay,
Yeah.
very good, very good. I hope everybody, I hope you guys all learn something and all taste a little bit for the Teacher Says Future English Writing class, starting from next week again. But before we end today, our Mentors Future Class free class, Any of you guys have any questions? Any of you guys have any questions? Want to ask teacher Fess regarding writing or about today's content or future class? No? Somebody said no? Any questions? You can raise your hand. All good, Gavin? You? You good? Give me a thumb up, you good? Very good, Gavin, good boy. All right, you guys all good? No more questions? All right, so at the end, I know today the many things teacher says can teach you or share with you guys, but it's a short time, right? We only have 1 hour. Actually, no, we have around 50 minutes to regarding today's class, the content. But Seth, maybe you can, I know you are beginning to give a presentation about the future class, right? From September.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's every Friday night, 8 to 10
Yeah.
for 2 hours. I know some parents, students from mainland China, the time
Yeah.
also should be okay. You just need to wake up a little bit early in the Saturday morning, right? In Chinese
Right.
time, right? The Asian time.
Yeah.
But Seth, what's 2 hours typical you will, for the different module, different contents, so what's a typical your class structure you can share with me?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that actually, yeah. So, okay, this, the lesson that you guys just saw is typically the kind of thing that would take place in the first hour of our time together. So, I'm going to be coaching you guys on different aspects of writing technique and helping improve your game on your paragraph writing and how you structure your writing depending on what the topic is. Usually in hour 2, I like to change it up because I find if I just continue with the same thing for 2 hours, it can drag on a little bit. So in hour 2, I open it up more for discussion. We look at reading examples, I ask you guys questions about what we're reading, get you guys to respond to different kinds of things. So we read short stories, we can read passages from famous diaries. We read, we can read some poetry. And this is more of a light, fun, relaxed portion of the lesson. So like I said, we do some reading, I open it up for discussion, and we share our thoughts about different genres of writing.
Yeah, I remember you use in the summer camp class. You use the New York Times, right?
Yeah, we
New York Times. Yeah.
One article from the New York Times.
Yeah, all different magazines, all different the current popular articles you can read and share opinions. Not only writing, because to be honest, Uncle Michael knows in 2 hours writing can be sometimes boring.
Yeah, totally. And I don't want you guys like groaning by the end of the lesson. So in hour 2, we just totally change everything up and try to make it a little more fun for you guys. So
yeah, and also for sure a small class, right? Like we had in summer camp, like less than 10 students, more interactive. You can know each other. Also more interactive with teacher says to share opinion, ask a question, and also with homework. With homework every week, right? You get some homework to practice your vocabulary, your structure, your writing skills. But don't worry, won't be too heavy workload for you guys. We don't want to overkill, yeah.
Right, and I just want to say that, if you guys join the class, I get to know each of you personally as individuals. And it gives me an opportunity to see your work and learn a lot about your writing style and where your strengths and weaknesses are. So every time I grade your work, I write about a paragraph about this long, giving you my personal feedback and encouraging you in your writing, and also, just pointing out where you have opportunities to improve as well. So.
Exactly. As I know, teacher says is very patient and really into the coaching you guys and help you get development, right? So the homework, all the reporting, this, that. But by the way, Seth, last question I ask on behalf of some parents and students. So this one gonna be a 3 months long, right? Till December, 14 weeks,
Okay.
once a week, every Friday, 2 hours. What any goal at the end they will eventually achieve after attending this 14 weeks class? For example, they're gonna at the end complete an essay, or they do some other project. What's the end of goal?
Yeah, there will be some kind of final project, you know, where you guys will have a chance to produce something that demonstrates what you've learned. So that might be writing a 5-paragraph essay. It might be also writing a piece of short fiction, because that, you know, writing fiction is also a pretty challenging topic with a lot of different moving parts to it. So we might spend 2 to 3 weeks on that. And you know, it's not like I'm just going to say to you after like 3 weeks, okay, write a short story and have it ready by next week. Each week, I'm going to give you small pieces to work on so that by the time we get to the end, you just have to put them together and kind of just polish them up, and then you're good to go. So
yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Probably either be like an essay or a piece of short fiction.
Right. That's good. And I think the fiction, that'll be more fun, right? More fun,
Yeah, I think
exciting.
so. I enjoy it more. Essay writing can be a little bit dry compared to fiction writing. So
Right. Especially some students already in the high school or grade 8, so they already start writing essay from school homework, right?
Exactly.
Now get more. But you know, this all depends. After you guys register class and the teacher says we will get your opinions. We have different options. Maybe even some group teamwork, right? Some project teamwork, you can work together to do something. Anyway, there'll be a fun class, and I guarantee in September 11th class, you guys are gonna learning a lot and making progress for English writing. All right, guys, if you guys no more any questions, let's see, we still have many students here. Now we're gonna officially dismiss class. And if any of you guys have a question, interested for future class, ask your parents or yourself, contact Uncle Michael, and mentors will post the future ongoing class flyer in the WeChat group, okay? Mentors WeChat group. Ask your parents' petition, then you can contact to a customer service to register the class. Alrighty, guys, and let's all turn on the microphone, or give sum up. Say really thanks time all the teacher says today to give us a lesson. Let's all say thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Nice
So
to meet you.
just to